Hello, and welcome to the Marginal Mind Matters podcast, presented by me, Siobhan Henry, and produced by Karen Westman. Marginal Mind Matters, also known as Margins, is a not-for-profit company, and our approach is to help marginalized groups cope with the inner suffering of social exclusion through self-help and support groups. So what is social exclusion? Well, the great majority of people in the world are socially excluded. Social exclusion is referred to by many names, and marginalization is one, and that is why we call ourselves margins. Social exclusion is being treated unequally because of your race, your gender, class, caste, sexual orientation, religion, or nationality. Social exclusion shapes how we think and feel, and if we are not aware that we are excluded, then we can't face our thoughts or feelings, and we can't do anything about it. Discrimination forces us into social exclusion, and the systems of prejudice tell us every day that that is where we belong, and that is where we should stay. So the Marginal Mind Matters podcast is about showing the socially excluded that we can escape social exclusion and achieve the lives we want, but we need to face the inner struggle of social exclusion before we can do that. Our mission is to help empower one socially excluded person at a time in the hope that we will eventually lift all of society. In this podcast, we will choose one emotion that relates to the internal struggle of being socially excluded, and we will do 4 things. First, we will define what this emotion is. Second, we will explain what purpose this emotion serves in society. Third, we will explain what happens when we feel this emotion. And lastly, we will explain how to free ourselves from that emotion. In this podcast, we will be discussing deflecting. So what is deflecting? Well, deflecting is moving an unpleasant feeling from ourselves to someone else. And this is a common occurrence in our lives, but especially so in the lives of the socially excluded. We talk about oppression, discrimination, and inequality in the mainstream media, social media, and our daily conversations. And it is important for us to have these conversations. But this does not help us cope with the inner suffering of social exclusion. Talking, marching on the streets, holding placards, and trying to effect changes to unjust policies are only part of the process of empowering ourselves. At some point, we have to turn our gaze away from our oppressors and towards ourselves, and we have to take our lives in our hands and try to change them. We're going to break for some music, and when we come back, we'll be discussing the impact of deflection in society.
Bring you out of the cold, but you don't ever have to hide.
So what purpose does deflection serve in society? Well, it makes us outward focused, and we become committed to abstract social ideals rather than tangible goals and strategies that can change our lives. Deflection is a safety valve. It releases some of the pressure of social problems, but it does not solve them. And in some cases, releasing pressure through protests and discussions can distract us from effecting real change in our personal lives. It also serves a more pernicious purpose in that it keeps the focus on the oppressors, which sustains their power and keeps us subordinated. So deflecting is a passive mass approach, whereas reflecting is an individual assertive approach. We're going to break again for some music, and when we come back, we'll be discussing the impact of deflection on the socially excluded.
Shadows settle on the place that you left. Our minds are troubled by the emptiness. Destroy the middle, it's a waste of time. From the perfect start to the finish line. And if you're still breathing, you're the lucky ones. 'Cause most of us are heaving through corrupted lungs, setting fire to our insides for fun, collecting names of the lovers that went wrong, the lovers that went wrong. We are the wild youth, chasing visions of our futures. One day we'll reveal the truth, that one will die before he gets there. And if you're still bleeding, you're the lucky ones. 'Cause most of our feelings, they are dead and they are gone. We're setting fire to our insides for fun, collecting pictures from a flood that wrecked our home. It was a flood that wrecked this home. And you caused it. One, 'cause most of us are bitter over someone, setting fire to our insides for fun, to distract our hearts from ever missing love. But I'm forever missing him. And you caused it. You caused
So what is the impact of deflection on the socially excluded? Well, when we are constantly deflecting our feelings of social exclusion onto the outside world, it delays the process of reflecting on ourselves. So like we said in our previous podcast, it is necessary for the socially excluded to identify the problems that they are experiencing and lay the blame where it belongs. But that is only part of the process of self-awareness and self-empowerment. The rest is looking within ourselves, recognizing the problems that exist and trying to come up with unique solutions to overcome these problems. Deflection is fighting a battle outside of ourselves, a battle that brings us very little, if any, tangible benefits, whereas reflection can change our lives and the lives of those closest to us. We're going to break again for some music, and when we come back, we'll be discussing how to free ourselves from deflection. Welcome back. So how do we free ourselves from deflection? One of my favorite books of all time is the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, and it's aptly referred to as the art of living. In it, Lao Tzu says that to change the world outside, is like a man who wants to cover the world in leather to avoid stepping on a stone. It's easier, he says, to wear shoes. And that sums up deflection perfectly. So take the issue of race for an example. As a person of color, I think it's important to speak out about racism and to try to bring about change so people of color don't need to experience the injustices of hate and discrimination. But I'm also of the view that that is only half the battle. The other half is encountering the generations of self-hate that has been ingrained within us as people of color, and socially excluded people generally of all colors. So perhaps tomorrow the world will be different. All humans may love each other regardless of the color of their skin. But we need to ask ourselves the question, when that day does come, will we love ourselves? If the sight of our own brown skin makes us feel ugly, ashamed, and inferior, how will the love of the entire world help us? The world outside is only a means to knowledge and understanding. It is the vehicle through which we achieve self-understanding. But self-understanding is the ultimate prize. Because when we achieve that understanding and self-love, then the battles of the world become a means to achieve personal victory, to come up with innovative solutions to escape our individual realities, and to lift ourselves and others up. Thanks so much for joining us on this podcast on deflection, and we hope you'll join us again next time. Thanks and goodbye.
I needed to mention how did you lose track of your intention? Desperately waiting in the sun for some rain. Turn your coat inside out and maybe you would wash it out your dried up stank and open up. Feel the coast, open up, open up, feel the coast, open up. I needed to mention how much you love to aim at perfection. Let's see what it's all about, and maybe you will turn around and walk the other way. Maybe it's not so bad, don't you look away and try instead to see